Hey, what's up? I'm Ellie and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be doing my July wrap up for you guys. July was a really successful reading month for me. In July I read a total of 14 things, which much of that success, 50% of that, happened during the reading rush. I have a full vlog of everything that happened. I did all the photo challenges, all the video challenges, and I did that all in my vlog, so you guys can check out that. But I am going to do like an official review here in my wrap up of the books that I read, since you kind of just got some little thoughts and feelings as I was reading that. So I ended up reading 14 things. I read a total of 2,790 pages. What? Like that, I don't ever count the pages of my audiobooks, so that is all the physical pages that I read, which is just absurd to me, honestly. 5 adult, 3 middle grade, and 6 YA for the month. Those are some of the quick statistics, so let's go ahead and jump into this. As always, I'm going to have timestamps down below for the different sections that I put these in. I do them by format. However, I'm also going to have timestamps for the titles as well, so if there's specific titles that you're looking for, they're going to be listed down below and you can go check out what I have said about such things. So, as always, I am starting out with the audiobooks, and I have quite a good many audiobooks. 5 audiobooks to talk about. Holy crap. The last audiobook that I listened to in the month was The Toll, and this just had such an interesting premise. It is this couple that are going on their honeymoon to the swamp. Why? Who knows? They go across this bridge and all of a sudden the husband wakes up, he's in the middle of the road, and his wife is nowhere to be found. He goes into the city and like no one even knows what bridge that he's talking about. No one knows what has happened to his wife. Like things are just really mysterious. This town is really strange. There's some weird things going on. There's like these weird power outages. There's like this talk of like ghosts and stuff. So it's a really weird town. He's not really sure what happened. Anyway, so it had a really interesting premise. I was like, oh, like what has happened here? Like, is there a serial killer? Like what's going on? So I probably should have known at the first mention of the supernatural that I really wasn't going to like this. I don't like supernatural thrillers. I don't know what it is about it. I think Stephen King, honestly, has just ruined that element for me. This was very Stephen King-esque. Everything about it was Stephen King. There's even mentions of rats in this. So writing is pretty similar. I think the premise is something that he would have thought of. I probably should have known that I wasn't going to like it. But I also was like, I don't know, maybe things get more interesting, maybe something else is going to happen. There's talk of The Toll. That is this thing that happens every so many years. Someone goes missing and they just already kind of assume what has happened. There are these 2 older women who are said to have helped satisfy or help get rid of this creature's need to like kill people, but it's back, and it's just... It was just a really weird story, and I just didn't care for it. I found myself like rolling my eyes, and I knew that I probably should have DNF'd it. I was already like halfway through it, and I was like, I've already made it this far, might as well see how it ends. And I also thought the ending was pretty unsatisfying. It was just very confusing at times to follow all these different people. Some of them have had encounters with this creature that does the toll, and some of them haven't, and it was just weird. So the ending did not make up for it. I ended up giving it a 2.5 because the writing wasn't bad. It wasn't bad writing. It was pretty good writing, and I still felt the need to like see what happened even though I wasn't really enjoying it. So like it had some sort of hook in me, but I just didn't find any parts of it enjoyable whatsoever. So 2.5. I also read City of Ghosts by V.E. Schwab. This is her middle grade book, and it is about this young girl who had died at one point and she was saved by a ghost, and this ghost is now her friend, and she can hear ghosts, she can feel their presence, and her family are, weirdly enough, they have a TV show about ghost hunting. Even though her dad doesn't believe, and her mom like believes, but I guess they just don't really understand the full extent of it. So it is about them going to like a town that is like chocked full of ghosts, but there's this really dark ghost who is calling to the main character and trying to drag her into the veil, manipulate her. So this is about her trying to struggle with being sucked into the veil and trying to struggle with just trying to keep the ghost out and also keep herself alive, basically. This was fun. It was interesting. It wasn't like the best thing I've ever read, but it was fun. I could definitely see where a lot of kids would really enjoy this. Kids are just weirdly obsessed with like fun versions of death, so I think this really works as a middle grade. The audiobook was pretty fun too. I'm giving it a 3.5 just because I honestly don't know if I'll remember most of the specifics about it within like a month or two, just because it wasn't a super memorable story. It gave me a lot of feels of like the Graveyard book. It was fun, but nothing super memorable. Then we have Lock Every Door. This was one of my most anticipated releases of the year. Riley Sager is my #1 mystery thriller writer. Absolutely love his novels. So I was expecting great things from Lock Every Door. It is about this girl who is really struggling in life. She doesn't have anyone left and she just can't seem to get on her feet. She's poor and like just cannot. She's gone through a really bad breakup with her boyfriend, and so she's looking for a place to stay, and she comes across the Bartholomew, which is this really like fancy housing. It's very exclusive, but basically they're like not allowed to leave. We will pay you a shit ton of money to live here and house sit because we don't want outsiders coming in, which makes no sense. We're gonna pay you. You can't leave at night. You have to be here every night. You can't have guests over, like things like that. Like things were already suspicious. Like it was a suspicious starting point. The setup of it I just wasn't believing, so already I knew that I probably wasn't going to enjoy this as much as the other ones just because it's all weird. Even her friend is like, things sound fishy, and she just like doesn't, I don't know. So it was already pretty unbelievable to me, and then things just got weird. Now it was very interesting. Riley Sager has this way of just hooking you with little details at a time and bringing in side characters that you really trust and also distrust. Like you're constantly wondering who done did it. Like you're constantly in limbo with that. This one I just felt like the suspense wasn't as great as the other ones, but I was still very much hooked, very interested to see what was going to happen. I like that there was this mystery behind the Bartholomew in the city, and that there are these high people and each of them has like a secret, and she's going around asking them these secrets and stuff, and like that was pretty interesting. She's kind of playing detective and things like that. Just unbelievable. A little over the top. Even the ending, I was like, really? What? Like this is insane. It was fun. If you suspend your disbelief, it was a really good story. I just had a hard time getting over like the fact that she even got herself in this situation and the things that were actually going on. Like it was just a little much. Really enjoyed it. I listened to it within a 24-hour period. It was still very like, really got me in its grips. I really had to know what was going on. And I'm giving it a 4 out of 5 stars. Not my fave. Then we have Perks of Being a Wallflower, which was a reread for me, but I've never listened to it in an audiobook format. This follows a young boy who is writing anonymous letters to someone about his high school experience. You can tell that he is suffering from depression, some other things going on that aren't really revealed till the end. It's him finding his group of friends and kind of finding his place in life, and even then like struggling to know what type of actions he should be taking. It's a very relatable book. I think even as kids who don't go through any type of trauma in their lives, but I do think it's very relatable, and just like being an introvert and not really understanding the feelings that you're feeling and feeling everything all at once, and just so many complex emotions in this poor young boy's mind. I love this story so much. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. The audio is not my favorite format of it. I didn't really care for the audiobook. I found myself kind of drifting off listening to it. The narrator is great. I don't know how to properly state that I just didn't enjoy it as audio as much as I did in physical for this. I guess just because this is one of those ones where it just feels really deep and personal, and listening to someone tell you that just I didn't feel like was the same. So still 5 out of 5 stars, as always. And then the last audiobook I have to talk to you about became one of my favorites for this whole year. I was just absolutely in love with this book. If you like The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, you have to read City of Girls. This was so good. Oh my goodness, I could not stop listening to the audio. I was obsessed immediately. This is about, so this takes place as this main character is a grown older woman, and she is writing a letter to someone who has written her and been like, hey, what were you to my father? And so this is kind of the story about how this woman goes back in time and tells us about her moving to New York as a young adult and coming across, she lives with her aunt who runs a theater, and living with all the theatrical girls and wanting that lifestyle and just absolutely adoring everyone that comes through, and she does costume designs and stuff like that, and just her story about who this girl's father is and what he meant to her. And it's so reminiscent of Evelyn Hugo in that it is like her struggles as she's getting older and things like that. This is very sex positive. Just, she's a strong female, independent, finding her way through life. There are some pretty strong female relationships, but you also get some of that cattiness that you would expect. I thought it was very realistic in that sometimes you have friends that stick around and sometimes they just disappear from your life, and the different choices that come with that and the things that she had done. And I just thought that this was fantastic. I especially love the sex positivity of this, and it was just so good. I wanted her life. I wanted to go to New York and live this life, this theatrical life. I wanted to go out every night with her and her showgirls. I just absolutely adored it. I love all the different aspects of it, and it was just so good. And the person that the father is, like, somehow I didn't see it coming. I don't know how I didn't see it coming, and I just was like, the ending made me so sad but also so happy, and like so many thoughts and emotions. Like, this was so good. I was thinking about this for days after. I've been recommending it to everyone at the library because I just think it is so good. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. It is probably making it into my top 10, maybe top 5 of the year. It was just so good. Alright, now we're going to move on to graphic novels. I have a few graphic novels. What all did I read? One of the things that I read was Hex Vet. I read this for the reading rush when the challenge is to read in one place, and I read this at work, standing at the counter, because it is very short. Honestly wish that this would have been a little bit bigger. It's about these young witches who are in training to become vets. This first one deals with they are left alone at the vet's office to deal with things on their own, and things go a little crazy. You can tell that there's some backstory to these characters. You get little glimpses of like how everyone thinks the one might be evil and things like that, but they aren't totally fleshed out yet. There are going to be more in this series, I believe. And I do wish that this one had just included like the first and second, just because this wasn't really enough to sustain me. Obviously it's middle grade, so maybe for a younger reader it would have been enough, but I just didn't feel like we got enough backstory. I didn't feel like it was enough action. Like, there was that one climactic moment, and even then it was kind of like meh. So it wasn't like amazing. It was really cute. I would recommend, if you want to read this, getting it from the library, because I don't think that it would be worth like $15 to buy and have in your collection. Like, it's just a really cute, fun read. I gave this a 3 stars. It was cute. The artwork's cute. It just, I don't know, just wasn't quite enough. A little bit longer. Also read Giant Days Volume 10. Giant Days is one of my favorite graphic novel series. It is about these young women that are going to college, university, and their friendships and how things are changing. I don't know. I've talked about this. I feel like I'm just beating it to death at this point. I feel like I'm reading one like every month, every other month. It's just really enjoyable. I love how relatable it is. You don't get a lot of like contemporary, no magical element kind of graphic novels, and it was just really fun. I gave this one a 4.5. It wasn't my favorite, but it was still really good. And then we have the Avant-Guards. I think I'm saying that right. I don't know. The Avant-Guards. I thought that this was a middle grade. It's not. The first page is like people smoking weed and they talk about hooking up and stuff. So it's not middle grade. I'm sorry I ever told any of you that it's not. I thought it was just going to be about basketball, and it's not at all. It's about finding your friends. It's about moving on. It's about love and relationships. There is a diverse cast in this. You got all kinds of different backgrounds. There's also every character, I believe, is part of the LGBTQ community in some way. There is a bi girl. There's lesbians. There is someone who has the pronouns of they, them. So this was very diverse, and it's definitely more about the friendship dynamic. I think only like 2 pages are them actually playing any type of sport. So I was really surprised by this. I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would. It was so much fun. It's a really quick read too. And I love the artwork. I think I'm gonna just fall in love with these characters. And I'm just so excited to continue. I ended up giving this a 4.5. It was really good, really cute. Excited to see more from it. I feel like the characters need more fleshed out for me to give it a 5 out of 5. Like, they just aren't quite there yet. Oh, I did want to mention that it doesn't technically count as a book. I did do the math, and I think it's almost equivalent to like a full graphic novel volume at this point, but I've been really loving it's an online graphic series, and that is Lore Olympus. It is so good. It's a Hades and Persephone's like retelling. It's modernized. I love the artwork. It's beautiful. I did want to let you guys know that I have been reading that. There's like a new episode every week, and it is just so amazing. You have to go binge it. I'll leave a link to it down below because it is just so good. Like, I love it so much. I can't wait to see Hades and Persephone. They are so beautiful. I love them. It's amazing. There is trigger warnings. There is talks of rape and sexual assault and things like that. So be warned of that, but it's been so good, and I did just want to mention that and put that out there that I've been reading. I read one other middle grade, which was Game of Stars. This was the second in the Serpent Secrets series. I don't think that's the actual series name. I really loved the first one. Very Rick Riordan-esque. It deals with Indian mythology and mixes that in. It's about a girl who has been told time and time again by her parents that she is a princess, and she's like, I'm not a princess. Stop telling me that. We live in New Jersey. We run a market. One day she comes home and finds that her parents have been kidnapped by demons and taken to another world. So two princes show up and they take her to this world, and they go there to hunt down her family, and it's all kinds of, they're all over the place. They have to follow all these different riddles. They're fighting off different demons, learning secrets of their past, and fighting off the Serpent King. The second one follows a game show that is being hosted in order to get her to come back to the world and participate in these games. Her friends haven't talked to her all summer, and she is feeling weird about it, and all of a sudden she sees that they're in these games and they're inviting her to come play, so she goes to play, and there's much more at stake than she realizes. There's a lot of different things happening, and it's her trying to go through as she's winning these games. I will say that I feel like I was kind of misled with this one because it seems like it's going to be based around games and tournaments and things like that, and you don't really see any of that. There's a big long time between has to get registered, which is a whole story, and then they finally get to the games, and I feel like they only really compete in like one thing. It's really weird. Now she says at the end, like, they go through on all these adventures, and technically like those are supposed to be parts of the game, but you don't really get that game aspect. It just doesn't feel the same. So I felt a little misled by that. I wish it would have been more tournaments. I wish there would have been more games because I love those types of things. I absolutely just love anything that takes place in like an arena. Yes, give it to me. This just felt like it wasn't as exciting as the first one. I'm hoping that it's just like a 2-book slump or something like that. And hopefully the next one is even more exciting because I love these characters. I love this world. This one wasn't the best. I gave this a 3.5. I think the last few things that I have to talk to you guys about are the young adult books. So let's go ahead and get into that. One of the books that I finished was Escaping from Houdini. I started this back in April. Yeah. I love the Stalking Jack the Ripper series. Absolutely adored. I love Aubrey Rose. I love Thomas Cresswell. Absolutely adore them. I just flew through the last two. They were just so great. It takes place in the 1800s, so she's not really expected to have a job, but she really wants to dissect dead bodies, okay? And so she's that's kind of frowned upon, but her uncle lets her teach under him anyway, and he also takes on Thomas Cresswell, who is very snarky and they're witty, and they kind of have this really lovely banter that I live for, and there's always this tension between the two of them, and it's just amazing. And this is definitely more romance heavy. Definitely focuses on the romance way more than it does the murders and the investigations, but that is okay. That's okay. We all need a little romance with our murders, I guess. Escaping from Houdini is the third in this series, and at this point we have lost a little bit of the banter between Aubrey Rose and Thomas. We've lost some of the tension, which up to this point has been the star of the series. Like, that has been heavily what the dialogue has relied on. That's been most of the storyline is in between Aubrey and Thomas. So then we get to this and that's gone. We're now on a ship and there's these murders that are happening on this ship. I found this the most unrealistic of them all because they're on the ship and people are being murdered, and somehow they still keep putting on the shows where people are being murdered at. Like, after the first or the second one, I feel like you would probably put the ship on lockdown, but no, they don't. They just keep continuing the shows and more bodies stack up. So that was a bit weird. Plus, there is a new addition into this, which adds a little bit of a lust triangle that I just wasn't for. I didn't like it. It felt like Thomas had been given a twin, but darker, and put on the ship just for, I don't even know, like, what was it? It didn't progress the plot anymore. I don't really know what it was trying to say. Aubrey has always said that she is her own person. She makes her own choices. So if that was the point of it, that's already been said multiple times. So I don't think this added anything to the series for me. It wasn't like they really learned anything new, because at least in the last one they were learning new things about bodies. This one was more she's learning about tarot cards, which does absolutely nothing for her in the investigative world. So I don't know, this felt pretty pointless. It was really slow paced compared to the other ones. Really hard to focus on the character that is the main focus because I didn't care for him. So I don't know, it took me so long and I still really love the characters. I just wish that they would have been the stars of the show like they have been originally. I don't really understand what was happening here. I'm very excited for Capturing the Devil. Super excited. I hope that it makes up for this because I've just loved this series so much. I'm giving this a 3 out of 5 stars because overall I enjoy this type of story. I like the romance and the murder and stuff, and it was still interesting. The second half of it picked up a good enough of it that I could really wanted to finish reading it. So it's just a really slow start. I'll probably forget most of what happened in this, and I think I'll be okay. I think I'll understand. Oh, then we have Emergency Contact. So originally, I had said in my Reading Rush vlog I was going to DNF it, and then let me tell you, I surprised myself by just reading the whole damn thing. I said I was going to skim it, and there were parts that I skimmed, not a whole lot, just parts that just weren't part of the storyline. So this is about a young woman who goes to college and she gets stuck with these roommates, and they take her to this coffee shop, and one of the guy that is at the coffee shop is her roommate's uncle. It's not really her uncle, but it's her uncle, and it's based around how she kind of runs into him again in an emergency situation, and she gives him her number to be her emergency contact, and it starts up this texting relationship between the two of them that they fall into, and things progress from there. However, this book tries to do 40 other things on top of that. They are trying to show that she is not like other girls. She slut shames like crazy, especially to her own mother. She just hates everyone. She makes it pretty well known that she just does not enjoy the company of literally anyone. She's very miserable, and you know what? You live miserable, you die miserable, bitch. That just really annoyed me, that she kept pretending like she was just above everyone else. On top of that, she's writing this story about this baby that wants to kill a family or something. It was really weird. I skimmed those parts, so someone was telling me that there was no robot baby, but I swear that's what it was about in the parts that I read. He's also filming something which absolutely does nothing for the storyline. There's also a weird pregnancy plot. There's these side characters that you think that she might date, but I don't know what they were there for. There's just a lot of weird side things happening that just didn't really make any sense, and it was just trying to do too much. I really like the interactions between Penny and Sam. I love those interactions. I love the texting parts. The rest of it was shit. It was bad. The writing was pretty bad. There were parts where I was like, ugh, yikes. So, the romance was cute, but if I rated Carry On based on just the couple as a 2, then I have to rate this just based on the couple because the rest of the story is just poop. Yeah, so I ended up giving this a 2 stars. Next I have I'm Not Dying With You Tonight. This is actually an arc, and this book doesn't come out till, it says October, but I thought I saw where it might come out sooner. And it's about 2 different girls who end up getting stuck at this football game that goes crazy. These fights break out, there are gunshots, like things go chaotic within the first 10 minutes kind of deal of reading this book. So from there, it follows both their point of views. It switches between both their points of views as they try to get home safely, and they come across these riots. They're stuck in the middle of a bunch of things. While this book is exciting in the action that is happening, I don't know about exciting scary, because these are real life events. This is definitely more a story about race and the way different races look at different situations, look at the same situation. So we have a white girl and a black girl. Even the writing style between the two, like there's a massive difference between the writing style. I will say that was the one thing that just really, I kept getting out of the story, because whenever you switch between the two, it's such different ways of talking that it would take me a moment to like get back into it. So that really threw me for a loop in between each one, because you're just given such a different style in between the two. They call the cops, and both of them at one point, like one's going oh shit and the other one's like oh yay. Like the way that they looked at these things and the different riots that are happening and why they're happening, and how one of them understands why that's happening and the other one doesn't, and the different things going on and the different situations that are happening. This was a really interesting book. I think it's a very important book to look at these situations. I will say my biggest thing is that these characters almost felt cartoonish, in that they were like massive cliches of the cultures that they come from. And I understand that this was supposed to be like the very difference in cultures, but it just was too over the top, I feel like. I'm giving this a 4 out of 5 stars. I do think that it's one to definitely look forward to. Very interesting, and I do think a lot of people will really, really enjoy it, or you know what I mean, like respect it. And then the last 2 things are favorites of the year, and they are continuation of series that I've already read. One of which is Thunderhead, which is the second in the Scythe? Why does this happen every time? In the Scythe series. I absolutely loved Scythe, so I was really excited for Thunderhead, so why did I put it off for so long? Who knows? I have this new fear of finishing series. So the Toll is coming out later this year, so I really wanted to catch up on Thunderhead, and let me tell you, I instantly became obsessed while reading this book. Like, I could not put it down. I just love these characters. Neil Shusterman is an absolute freaking genius. Like, the things going through his head, I could never come up with. Like, everything adds up together. Everything was just so beautifully done. Like, things just they all line up, and it was, this was even better than the first one. I don't even understand how. It's a utopia. You can't die. Like, you get revived if you die. The only way that you die for real is if a scythe comes and chops you down, basically. So, not quite that. They have different methods of killing. So the first one is about 2, Petra and Rowan become apprentices for a scythe. It is decided that whoever loses has to kill the other one in the final competition. Things go crazy, okay? There's this new war that is happening between the Scythedom, where there are the new order scythes and then the old guard who follow a different set of rules, basically, and the new ones are like, we should enjoy killing, we should kill whoever we want, like there shouldn't be a number on how many people we can kill each month. So things are a little tense. So then we got Thunderhead comes in, and this is where this war is really starting to boil to a head. Is that the word that I want? Like, things are about to get nuts. This one, I feel like, focuses a lot more on, like, the Thunderhead, the actual Thunderhead, and its feelings of humanity and how it takes care of humanity and why it does these things and the rules that it has. And we do get some more new characters in this that I really, really enjoyed. I liked hearing more about, like, there's a religious sector of the world who believes, they're called, like, the Tones or something like that. They believe in this, like, big tone that is going to bring the world, like, to an end, basically, a new coming. And there's all these different layers to the story, and I remember thinking, what does this have to do with anything? But don't worry, Neil Shusterman is an absolute genius, and he just puts it all together. It's action-packed. It's a great satire of a world that we still live in and the idea of a utopia, and basically this is a utopia that goes to a dystopia and like things like that, and it's just very interesting. I just love every part of this. I can't believe it's gonna end this year. I'll probably put off the toll for 2 years too, but it was so good. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, like amazing. And then the last one I read, and I'm not gonna go into much detail about this. I don't think it needs any more hype whatsoever. I think it's already hyped up enough considering me and others have already pre-ordered like 6 or more copies of the book. Why do we do this? I don't know, but I got to read An Arc of Dark Dawn. Thank you to You Know Who You Are. This was the most amazing ending of all time. Nevernight is about a female assassin. But the whole story is way more than that. There's so many layers, there's so many side plots, there's so many things going on, and I felt just everything lined up, and I don't know how I didn't see any of it coming. Like, Christoph just put like shades over my eyes, and I just didn't see any of it coming, but it all makes sense, and I don't know. I'm ruined, and I'm sad that it's over, and it was amazing, and it was like the best ending to a series of all time. 5 out of 5 stars. Already want to reread the series. I'll probably reread it once it comes out, and I might do like a video series on it or something. I don't know. It's amazing. It's so good. It was so good, guys. It was so good. It was heart-wrenching. I was like bawling my eyes out. Oh, there was so many good parts. So I believe that was everything that I read in July. All 14 things, with this probably an hour-long video, because I just ramble and I ramble and I ramble and I ramble. I hope you guys have liked this video. Don't forget to subscribe to see future wrap-ups from me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.